Greetings and salutations. My name is OJ as always, and welcome back to another episode of the Deadlockathon, a series of videos where I go over every single character in Valve's not so secret hidden game Deadlock. I'll be going in alphabetical order from Abrams to Yamato. I'll be covering their lore and personality, their gameplay and abilities, as well as their designs. Please do keep in mind that everything I talk about is subject to change at a later date, as that is just the nature with a game like Deadlock that is still actively being developed. And if you wish to play Deadlock for yourself, if you don't already have access to it through maybe one of my other videos, I'll throw my Steam name up on screen, and all you need to do is send me a friend request, subscribe, and I'll send you a code. Very bad plug, I know, but we keep it rolling. Please do keep in mind though that codes may take 1 to 2 days or longer to come through, so please be patient. But with that said, our object of obsession for today is a character that has a really cool haircut and not much else. That being Shiv. Now you may be wondering why I said that he has a cool haircut and not much else. Well, I'm going to be completely real with you. Shiv is a character that is entirely popular off of his gameplay, because I'm looking through this lore right in front of my face right now, and it does not look very impressive, and it also doesn't look very extensive. A lot of the other characters that I've sung my high praises for usually have quite a lot of background to go off of, and Shiv just really doesn't. Before I get too ahead of myself, of course, I'm going to do what I always do, which is read his in-game background. A loyal member of the Baxter Society, an international order of monster hunters, Shiv travels across North America looking to put down creatures that prey on the living. While his less polished nature and criminal past make some of the more traditional members of the society wary, no one can deny his effectiveness. Like, what does that tell me about Shiv? Really? Like, I need to know. He's effective in his killing, he's less than polished, and he has a criminal past. That's it? Yeah, he's part of the Baxter Society. That's it. I mean, moving forward with that Baxter Society part, Shiv was chosen by Grey Talon as his replacement in the Baxter Society, yet as of current, the two of them don't have any interactions between one another, at least going off of the wiki, they're not voiced yet, which is obscenely disappointing, because, well, you would think those characters would have quite the close connection, considering Shiv was personally chosen by Grey Talon as a replacement for the leader of the Baxter Society. He says he's been in the society for a few years and is not respected by other members, and where with most characters you would think that would, be like kind of a thing that they have to struggle with, Shiv doesn't really seem to be bothered. I'm going to be completely honest, whenever he talks about like, oh, the Baxter Society don't respect me, of all the interactions we have right now at least, he might sound different in like the Grey Talon ones that aren't voiced yet, but he just really doesn't seem that bothered. He really doesn't seem that bothered that the people in the Baxter Society don't really like him, and that kind of confuses me. You would think that would be like his struggle, the thing that he has to wrestle with and deal with in his life, his personal character struggle, but no, he just doesn't really seem that bothered. He might be hiding it under layers upon layers of cool suaveness, but I don't know. I'm very autistic, and it really is a difficulty to pick up on subtle social cues. So if he is, subtly hiding it, I probably just missed it. But to me, he doesn't seem bothered. He doesn't seem bothered that the Baxter Society doesn't really respect him or see him as like a proper member, even though he's been with them for a few years and such. Moving on from other stuff where it's kind of like potential related, like, okay, I don't want to call him potential man of Deadlock. I'm sure you know what I mean, or some of you know what I mean when I talk about a potential man. That title goes to Sinclair, but at least Sinclair has a potential to look forward to. But moving on, there are some other comments from, say, the Sapphire Flame, which is one of the patrons, where they say that Shiv has been a father. Okay, that's kind of interesting, but that's not further expanded upon, and we have no idea a father to who. A father as in literal, blood-related, orphan, or like adoption, or maybe it's a metaphorical thing. We don't know. And she also says that he has a monster inside of him called the Beast. Wow, that's really interesting. A character that has to struggle with the fact that he is part of a monster hunter society whilst also having a monster inside of him. Wow, that's really interesting. Is that actually mentioned or developed upon? No. We don't. What is the Beast? Who? You are not Gohan. You're not going to be... Now I'm picturing Shiv doing Beast Gohan's transformation sequence, and that's really stupid. Sorry, I got off. That's just made me think that Shiv's gonna show up and say, "I'm going to unleash the beast," or something like that. That's really corny, actually, but it's really funny. But yeah, like, they say that Shiv has a monster inside of him called the Beast, and there's potential there, right? Like, of the idea of someone who's part of a monster hunting society having a monster in them. But it's not developed upon. It just doesn't exist beyond that. What do you want me to say? I mean, there's multiple other, like, most of the information we have about Shiv as a character come from the patrons and not his interactions with other characters. Because most of his interactions with other characters are, "Wow, your hair looks really cool," and he's like, "Yeah, I know," and that's it. Like, I'm gonna play 2 of those for you, like, right now, just to show what I mean. And the 2 in question are between Holiday and Shiv, and Lady Geist and Shiv.
I'm impressed.
I haven't done anything yet.
You managed to make a pompadour look attractive.
Wait till you see me stab something.
Darling, you're a delight.
So you're with the Baxter Society?
Handpicked by the old man himself.
Must have liked your hair.
Lady, everyone likes my hair.
Like, I mean, it's neat and all that characters compliment him for his hair. I mean, he's probably the most recognizable part of his design, at least. But I just... he doesn't have much for me to go off of. I mean, every other character compliment, like, through... like, every other character, like, when killing him, or fighting him, or pinging him, will compliment his appearance. Calling him pretty boy, handsome bastard, or, per Lash's, very kindly put words, impossibly handsome asshole. Incredible. And he's even called a shampoo ad with knives by Ivy. Which, I mean, sure, whatever, but like, is there more to him besides his appearance? I mean, clearly there is, but then it hasn't been developed upon, which I feel like Shiv really is one of the characters that suffers from the fact that this game is in development. He is very much... there's potential here, you know, with him being a father to who, we don't know, and him having the beast inside of him. But, like, we need more. We need to develop upon this, because otherwise, this just feels like a character that exists for... what reason? Shiv just feels weird. He doesn't have anything for me to go off of or bounce off of, and it's really kind of getting under my skin. I mean, some other stuff about Shiv, he likes to go bowling. Awesome. Him and Mirage would be good friends. I wish there was an interaction between the 2 of them about that. He drinks bourbon. Bourbon? I'm horrible with names. Wow. That was probably... I'm sorry if I butchered that. And he is also referred to as a biker by Holiday, which, I mean, is he a biker? I don't know. I have no idea. On the character interaction front, as you just heard from one of the interactions I just played, Lady Geist does think Shiv is quite attractive, and in another interaction asks to have a drink with him after the ritual. I mean, way to go, Shiv, you've serenaded Lady Geist of all people, I suppose. And Drifter, of all people, claims to have known Shiv before he joined the Baxter Society, and remarks that he's gone soft. But then again, the amount of people Drifter says you've gone soft to is absurd. He says it to Seven as well. I'm sorry, I don't think Seven's gone soft. Well, he might have, maybe. I saw some discussion underneath the Seven video about him being, like, not necessarily, like, evil. I don't think Seven's, like, super evil. He's not, like, pure evil, per se. But, anyways, I'm going off track. I'm not even kidding. What else do you want me to say about Shiv? Like, this is all we got. This is all I got. I ain't got nothing more for you. Like, what do I say? What do I say? He was part of the Baxter Society, or he is part of the Baxter Society, picked by Grey Talon. Wish they had interactions. Oh, he likes to go bowling. I wish he had an interaction with Mirage about that. Like, it's just a case of, I want more interactions that actually tell me something about Shiv. Like, actually explain to me a bit about his personality. Like, story-wise, there's some stuff here with him being a father, the beast inside of him, fears that the Baxter Society could turn on him. Sure. But I wish that was kind of explored upon, maybe developed a little bit more, and he really does suffer from the fact that he is part of a game that is still actively in development. I'm sure once the game comes out and we eventually get like more stuff about Shiv, he'll probably improve personality and lore-wise as a character. But for the time being, he is a character who is entirely popular for mostly his gameplay. And, talk about a cool segue, we're now going to talk about his gameplay and his abilities. Please keep in mind for this segment I will be using OBS to record audio and visuals simultaneously, so if I sound a little bit weird I do apologise in advance, or sound a bit different per se. I do apologise again in advance. But with all of that said, we're now going to be talking about Shiv's gameplay and his abilities. Right, so here we are in the ever so lovely and ever so helpful training range to talk about Shiv's gameplay. But before I did actually forget to mention something in the lore segment and personality segment, and that is that Shiv is voiced by Greg Chun, who also voices Pocket. Yes, Greg Chun is voicing two characters at the exact same time, and do they sound anything alike? No, and I need to highly compliment Greg Chun for that. I already like him enough. He's in my favourite game ever, which is Metaphor ReFantasio as Moore. He's also done English dub work for the Like a Dragon series or Yakuza series, because he is Namba in Yakuza 7 and 8. He's also Yagami in Judgment and Lost Judgment, and I obviously like those games as well. Can you tell I'm autistic? That's besides the point. Anyways, talking about Shiv's actual gameplay, we need to start, of course, as we always do, with his weapon, known as the Busted Flush. For the most part, this is a relatively bog-standard shotgun. You shoot shotgun, you shotgun and shoot. Shotgun do good damage up close, right? It has a weird spread pattern, I must admit. It is relatively random, but it kind of is like a vertical pattern almost. Like, as you notice, most of the bullet holes there are kind of like vertical instead of like a full spread. And, you know, it does its job as a shotgun. It does very good damage up close and personal, like really good headshot damage. And it also does relatively decently in the laning phase, because obviously due to its spread nature, you can capture souls quite easily. But that's obviously not what's the most important, as I'm sure some of you Shiv players do know. His secondary fire, because here's a fun fact, not every character just aims in with their gun. There are a few who have secondary fires, and Shiv is one of them. When you press right click, you will then shoot a sort of bigger burst that uses up 2 bullets instead of 1. And as you notice, when you use it, Shiv does get like pushed back a little bit. And this does, you know, like really good damage up close, like 94, where a single shot would only do 50. That's not bad. But that pushback is the interesting part, because if I were to jump, I push myself back and I get a little bit of momentum. Now, I am not very good at it. I could not tell you how people are this good at it, but using this knockback with the secondary fire, some Shivs are able to propel themselves. I've seen Shivs move like actual demons with like the pushback. I swear I saw like a parkour like map on a Reddit somewhere. If I can find the parkour gameplay, I'll throw it up on the screen, or I'll throw up text saying I couldn't on screen. But like, seriously, the movement you can get from this, I can't show it because I'm not good enough. But man, this thing is crazy. I mean, just as a simple example, like for myself, if you were to jump up the wall and you just continuously fire downwards, look, you're able to climb up that wall completely without the use of any double jumps, any movement abilities. No, nothing. You just, I mean, you can obviously always double jump for the extra height, but it's literally just wall bounce, shoot the shotgun downwards with the alt fire, and bam, now I'm on the roof. Ignore what just happened to my voice. But yeah, like as a damage tool, I don't really think the alt fire is really that great. Like, I mean, it's all right, but it's nothing like super good. I would prefer personally to just continue to primary fire, because you're able to get more damage out that way, because there is like a bit of a delay before you can start shooting again after you use the alt fire. So if you're just trying to do damage, I would just personally just use the normal primary fire. Maybe you can use the alt fire as like a finishing tool, and due to the nature of the gun and how relatively solid it is, you can do like Shiv gun builds. I'm sure I have one somewhere, or there is one somewhere, maybe. I suppose not. Not many. I'm seeing no gun builds here. I mean, there's obviously one here, but yeah, for the most part, Shiv is more a spirit-focused character. You can do a gun build, but it will probably just kind of be a little bit worse than a normal spirit build. And speaking of spirit, let's talk about his abilities. And before I can talk about any of his actual normal abilities, I'm going to start with his ultimate. Mostly because that once you unlock the ultimate in your match, you will unlock a passive as well as its actual ability. But let's talk about the actual ability of it first. It's known as Killing Blow. It has a 15 meter radius or range. There's a 105-second cooldown, and you activate to leap towards an enemy target, and you will instantly kill them if their health is below the kill threshold. Otherwise, you do 200 damage to them. Said threshold is below 20%. This is clearly meant to be used as an execution tool. Pardon me. You will be doing all of your damage, blah, 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 and this is the finishing move. 20% is quite a lot for a threshold. Like, being below 20% is surprisingly common in Deadlock, and I don't think people realize how soon they are actually in killing blows like threshold range. And I mean, this ability is just very, very good. Admittedly, when it's, you know, before you get some upgrades in it, it's whatever, right? It's a pretty good finishing tool. However, its final upgrade really brings it into focus. But before I talk about its upgrades, once you unlock your ultimate within the match, you do unlock a passive, where if you damage enemies, it fills you with rage. While at full rage, Shiv gains increased damage and special properties on his other abilities. The full rage damage bonus is 17% to any damage you deal, like anything, any of your other abilities, melee, gun, etc, etc. Now the reason I need to mention his ult is because of this passive, because every other ability has a rage sort of addition multiplier of some kind. But still, speaking of his ultimate, on its first upgrade you get an extra 2 move speed whilst at full rage. On the second upgrade you increase the enemy health threshold by 5% and increase the bonus damage during full rage by 8%, bringing the threshold to be 25% or below, which again, that's a quarter of your health. That's not like, oh, that's really, really hard to get. It's not like 10%. 25% of your health, that's a lot. You can easily get someone below that and, you know, execute them. Woohoo! And the extra rage damage bonus being 25% now is just even better, and the move speed is really good for it. You just kind of become a little bit hard to... You do a lot of damage. But this is the key one. On its final upgrade, finishing off an enemy with Killing Blow resets its cooldown. That's the little one. That's the key part of this ability. That upgrade makes this ability very scary. Shiv is okay, so I complained that lore-wise, he isn't really much of a character. That's the reason probably for that is because the reason why people like him, despite that fact, is because Shiv is so much fun to play as. For the longest time, I didn't really get him. I didn't really click with him. And then as of late, where I've, you know, become a little bit better at the game, blah, 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 Shiv has really clicked with me. I really enjoy the feeling of chaining Killing Blow from enemy to enemy. And whoops, I accidentally just hit my mouse. I'm sorry for that flick. But I just realized I didn't actually even show what this ability looks like. As you can see, there is a, whoops. See, do you know I just did that? I instinctively pressed right click to aim and look closer at the icon on them. And after I just spent a bunch of time talking about his alt fire. Anyways, as you can see, there is an icon on them. It's the same as the abilities icon. You press 4, you jump towards them, and you'll give them a big old slash. Now, if said enemy is, you know, on low health, so for example, if I just stab up 7, ignore me using the abilities to kill him quicker. And by the way, that's what it looks like when you're at full rage. The little thingy on your back will suddenly start glowing, just to, you know, show both yourself and everyone else in your vicinity that you're at full rage. Now, as you'll see, you just saw that like red aura just kind of appear on them for a second. That means they're within range to be killed by Killing Blow. So now if I press Killing Blow, it will instantly kill them, and yeah, dead. Simple as that. Now, you can imagine what it looks like when, say, you're in a team fight and, ooh, one person's down on low health. Shanked. You got stabbed up by Killing Blow. Oh, Killing Blow's reset. Oh, there's another person on low health. Bang, Killing Blow again. Do you see the idea? Like, Shiv's entire gameplay will just allow him to do a bunch of damage, and then Killing Blow is the finishing move. It's very clear. It literally is designed as a finishing move. There is no more finishing move ability in the entire game besides Killing Blow, and it's very strong. As I said, below 25% is not like too low. That's not low at all. I mean, that's a quarter of your health. You're below a quarter of your health, yeah, Shiv's coming for you. And this thing, of course, with like range increases and stuff, man, Shiv can fly. He will fly across the map to get kills. Now you may be wondering, How does Shiv sustain himself whilst he's actually in the fight? Well, this is where the rest of his abilities come into. The first ability in question being Serrated Knives. It has 2 charges to begin with, and there is a 2-second delay between charges. It has a 0.2 second cast time. I believe that's what that's trying to say. I thought it was immediate, but I guess it's 0.2 seconds, which is basically immediate. And if you run out of charges, it has a 16-second cooldown time. Or, well, there's a 16-second cooldown time for each charge. You get the idea. You throw a knife that damages and bleeds an enemy. Each additional hit adds a stack and refreshes the bleed duration, causing the bleed to increase per stack. It does, actually, I should probably reset myself. It does 32 damage at base and 4.6 bleed DPS per knife. The bleed duration is 5 seconds, and when you have your rage at full, your knives will ricochet to another enemy and apply a slow to enemies they bleed, which, by the way, that slow is 35%. Now, this is your poking tool. This is a very strong ability to be used in lane, as you are able to just, as I will show now, you press 1, and you'll just quickly throw out a little knife that will travel, and then if it hits an enemy, it will apply a bleed on them and slowly deal some damage over time, stacking up to 55 damage, which, I mean, in lane, considering like, oh, I'm hiding behind thingamajig, and then you just yoink. Like, this thing goes forever, basically. Yeah, it will just keep going until it hits like a surface in some way, shape, or form. So you literally can just be like, oh, I'm poking in lane, and you just yank. You just throw the thing out and get a little bit of damage in, which, relatively okay. And as it says per its description, and as I will show with... This is probably going to be the most annoying thing about Shiv. I have to build up the rage every single time. But once you get at full rage and you throw a knife at someone, it will chain between 2 enemies, both apply bleed to them, and I feel like I should show. That was a horrible miss. The movement slow is surprisingly quite strong, and if you apply yet another knife, it will continue to apply that slow and that bleed, and that will just keep stacking and stacking with more knives that you throw. Like, there is no reason to not be throwing these knives out at like every opportunity you get. I know it has a 16-second cooldown, which, I mean, is relatively large, all things considered, but especially for an ability like this, but I don't know, you should really just be throwing these out as much as you can. Like, poking in lane, you just want to lob them. When you're fighting people and actually, like, close... Like, Shiv kind of thrives at close encounters. At least in my experience, he does. Mostly, obviously... And that is further emphasized through the fact that he has a shotgun. So, yeah, he kind of wants to be up close and personal. But the knives allow him to kind of, like, poke from a distance when he's not able to get up close and personal. But when he is up close, he can still kind of just lob a knife at you. Because now you're taking bleed damage, and now you're doing extra, like, you're doing bleed damage. And if you're at rage full, which, I mean, usually in most fights you will end up at full rage very quickly, you're now applying movement slow to him, which, I mean, movement slows always suck. And of course, like, every other character in this game, with abilities, the knives can really, because remember, it's a damage over time effect, so anything that, like, say for example, you buy Mystic Slow. Every single time they take that little chip damage, they'll have their movement speed slowed even further. Admittedly, that is not on this build, and I wouldn't really suggest using it on Shiv, but hey, it could work. Heal Bane is quite good for Shiv, because obviously it says spirit damage applies a healing reduction, so every little tick of your knives is going to be reducing the healing that enemy receives, so win-win, right? But yeah, it's a good poke tool, and relatively decent in normal fights. It kind of just exists to help him do damage from a range, because otherwise he doesn't really have any range. As I said, he's got a shotgun. He wants to be up close and personal, and as you'll see with some of his other abilities, or one of his other abilities, he does want to be up close. But either way, on the first upgrade for the knives, you get an extra charge, bringing it to 3 charges. On the second upgrade, you increase the bleed duration to 7 seconds, which, I mean, just results in more damage and more movement slow at a full rage. And on the third upgrade, you increase the damage by 40 and the bleed DPS by 7, bringing the normal damage to 72 and the bleed per second per knife by 11 per second, which is quite good. 11 damage per second plus an initial hit of 72, like, that's quite good. And as I said, with abilities and items and stuff like this, like Boundless Spirit, blah blah blah, the knives will do shockingly good damage, but for the most part they are here to kind of apply a constant damage over time effect. And as you can see, like, each tick levels up your rage, so they are quite good at stacking your rage before you're going in, if that makes sense. Like, they're just good at keeping the rage up and going. Because, as it says, like, if you're not doing any damage, your rage will, you know, eventually start depleting. So if you're always kind of just throwing knives at people, shooting them, blah, 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 you will obviously get your rage quite quickly. And, of course, if at full rage, you'll be able to keep your rage up even more because the knives chain to multiple people. So now they're going to be doing damage over time to multiple people. Your rage is going to just stay up for longer, and you'll be able to throw even more knives at people. You see the win. And as I said, it's good in laning phase as well to just kind of be an annoying poking tool. Like this build I used here, this item, Mystic Regeneration, insane. As it says in the annotation, it's great in lane sustain with knife poke. What it does is that dealing spirit damage to enemy heroes grants you bonus health regen, and it stacks when dealing damage to different heroes. So in lane, say you're been hit a few times, you can just lob a knife and regen quite a decent bit back. It's a very solid ability, kind of helps with keeping rage up, and I feel like that's its main use, as well as the movement slow, which allows you to, catch up to people and keep up with them, as if Shiv needed help with mobility. He's one of the more mobile characters in the game, thanks to his ult fire and thanks to his second ability. See what I did there? That's a really good transition, trust. Slice and Dice. It has a 15-second cooldown, and you perform a dash forward, damaging enemies along the path. Whilst your rage is full, an echo of Shiv will retrace the dash path after a short delay, damaging enemies again. It does 75 damage at base, the range of the dash is 12 meters, and to show what that looks like, I mean, you already saw it, I kind of used it to show or stack up my rage, but you press 2, and you'll dash in whatever direction you're looking, which is something that I feel like should be noted. You can dash upwards, dash kind of down, like if you dash downwards and hit the floor on the dash down, you will go straight forward, which, well, not straight forward. For some reason, Shiv kind of goes in a weird path. Like, I think it's the direction that he's facing, not so much your camera. Like, I'm quite clearly kind of pointed in this direction, but when I dash downwards, I'll go in a diagonal pathway. Either way, you can just kind of dash in every direction, which further emphasizes the fact that Shiv is quite a mobile character and, more importantly, wants to be up close and personal. 12 meters is quite a long range, but as you can see, it still would require you to be, up close, dash through them, and as you see, you do that initial bit of damage, and yeah, decent ability, right? However, the thing is, this ability gets really, really, really damn. This ability, across most of Shiv's kit, as I should have mentioned, that the serrated knives damage and the damage per second scales with spirit. Same goes for the dash. Its damage will scale with spirit. This item, or this ability, will just get really, really good with items. Like, as a basic ability, it is whatever. 75 damage isn't anything to scoff at early on, right? But I don't know. Like, early on, this ability just doesn't really do much. I mean, it's good for movement, I suppose. Like, if you want to run away out of lane, or want to kind of quickly push in and run back out or something, but the dash at base isn't very strong until you start buying items. Torment Pulse is shockingly quite strong with Shiv. As I said, he wants to be up close and personal, so Torment Pulse can help with that. Any improved spirit items, Cold Front is really good with it. Obviously, just decreasing the cooldown of it is really good. Like, but most of its strength really comes from when you get a bunch of items in it. I mean, even with its upgrade, like, just for example, you reduce the cooldown by 3 seconds, bringing it down to 12 seconds. You increase the damage by 55 at level 2, which brings it up to 130. But this is the key part, this last upgrade. You reduce the cooldown by 2 seconds per enemy hero hit, 1 second for non-hero. Max is 8 or minus 8 seconds per dash. That's where this ability becomes absurd. On its own, it's not particularly quite strong. I mean, 130 damage is nothing to scoff at, and of course, as I said, once your rage meter is full, which I feel like I should probably show, actually. Once the rage meter is full, you'll leave like an echo of yourself that will follow the trail that you cast, which is basically 2 instances of damage. Like, as you'll see here, I'll hit it, and then another. I hit it, and another. That's really strong. The second, like, dash that follows you is really strong. But again, as I was just saying, the real strength comes from that third upgrade, because now if you say dash into 2 enemies and a few minions, you'll have the dash ready almost immediately, and you can just go again. and again and again. Like, the dash rarely will be on cooldown. Like, you will just be able to dash over and over, and that's where this ability really gets its strength, because now you're doing 130 damage over and over and over, and if you have full rage, if they get hit by both casts of the dash, they'll get hit for 260 damage over and over. And of course, by that time that you're doing, like, you know, by the time you have the upgrade, you have a few items, so this will be even higher. Like, the dash really benefits from its upgrades. Like, in my experience, I almost always will upgrade the dash first, because the third upgrade is just so strong. Like, if I turn off no cooldowns for a second, like, as you see, the cooldown is 12 seconds. Now, if I say dash through this enemy in 7, 8 seconds. 8 seconds is not a long cooldown at all. Like, that will be up and ready before you know it. And if I just say, for example, get full rage and proceed to dash through this enemy in 7 again, notice that the clone reduces the cooldown. I already have my thingy ready again. Like, a 2-second cooldown for a dash that, you know, will do some really good damage later on. That's absurd. That's where most of Shiv's strength comes from, and where most of his mobility comes from. Because he'll just be kind of dashing everywhere. Like, he can be so hard to nail down. He will just be dashing through you, dashing back through you. You'll have the clone dashing through you and dashing back through you. You'll probably be bleeding from his knives. Like, he is really hard to kind of like nail down and keep a hold of. And even if you manage to, he has bloodletting, which I'll talk about in just a second. Pardon myself. But like, the dash is just very strong. I need to get that across. The dash is really strong. The majority of builds, to my knowledge, kind of build into the dash. At least in, I mean, this is a knife build, but like, it's because the dash just does a lot of damage, and because of its secondary kind of shadow at full rage, it does even more damage, and then you get the cooldown reduction with every enemy hit. And of course, as you saw there, I only hit like, you know, 2 actual heroes, and the thing was only 2-second cooldown. Imagine if I hit, like, say, a wave of minions. Each one of those is reducing the cooldown by 4 seconds, and presuming they don't die to the initial dash, and the, you know, clone dashes through them as well, that's another reduction of 4 seconds. It reduces it by 8 seconds. So that's the thing, though. You can't go below 8 seconds. The max you can reduce the cooldown by is 8 seconds. So you do still have to wait for a cooldown, but say you have Transcendent cooldown. What is the cooldown? Oh, it's 8 seconds. So, please do remind me if I stack up my rage just a little bit for you, and I, dash through these enemies. Wow. Do you guys see that? I already have my dash back, and all I did was dash through 2 enemy heroes. You see the idea. You see how, you can see how Shiv can be an annoyance in a team fight, because he'll just be dashing back and forth, and he'll be throwing knives at you, and all of you are slowed and bleeding and taking this and that. And if you wish to kill him, then you have to go for bloodletting, which is his third ability, and it has a 20-second cooldown. Take only a portion of the incoming damage immediately and defer the rest to be taken over time. You activate to clear a portion of the deferred damage. Incoming damage deferred is 30%. Deferred damage duration is 6 seconds. When you actually activate the ability, you clear 40% of the deferred damage, and whilst rage is full, the amount of damage deferred is increased. Now, what does that actually mean? Well, I'm really hoping this... No, it doesn't work like that. Okay. How should I show this? Maybe I make it a puppet. Nope. Wrong one. Take control? Okay. This will kind of work. Kinda? No. No, wait. How do I show this? Puppet? Okay, right. So, okay, this is going to be really hard, and I apologize for it. I'm trying to aim. Okay, so as you see here, when I'm taking damage, you see that, like, orange bar of health there? That is the deferred damage that the thingy is talking about. So if I clear the follow and I press 3, I will clear up that deferred damage. I'll restore the health, or I'll restore that orange segment of my health. Man, this is a really... It's a really hard ability to show, actually, now I think about it. So yeah, I take damage, you'll see the sort of orange bar filling up, and if I then actually, you know, turn into Shiv and I press 3, I'll heal up that orange bar, which... This is how Shiv kind of stays alive in battle. Like, when he's taking a bunch of damage, blah, 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 he'll then obviously, you know, just be able to press 3 and clear a portion of that damage that he takes. That's how the ability works, kinda. You take damage, as you saw, you have that orange bar, and when you press 3, you'll remove a portion of that orange bar. So it basically, like, removes a portion of the damage you have taken and heals it back, which really does help Shiv with his survivability, because obviously he will be up close and personal in the majority of fights. And just to kind of show what it looks like, obviously, at full rage, because as it says, it defers even more of the damage. I'm really hoping I can do this quickly. As you'll see, now the orange bar is quite a bit larger, and I'll be able to press 3 and clear up that orange bar pretty much, not instantly, but quickly. And its upgrades, on its first upgrade, you reduce the cooldown by 10 seconds. On the second upgrade, you increase the amount of incoming damage deferred by 10%, bringing it to 40%. Also, the cooldown is only 10 seconds, which, considering you're able to clear a portion of damage you take and heal it back, that's quite a decent bit. And this is the key part. On its third upgrade, you increase the deferred damage cleared by 45%. So, you are clearing 85% of that orange bar, which is not little. That's not a little amount. Like, just to show again what that actually looks like, I control 7, I do a bunch of damage to myself, and you can see the orange bar clearing up. And if I press Shiv and I press 3, like, I basically clear up the entire orange bar. So Shiv, in a lot of, you know, engagements and encounters, is kind of able to just keep himself going through bloodletting, and it kind of is incredibly infuriating. Shiv is a shockingly tanky character. Like, obviously, he wants to build for healing stuff. Like, Radiant Regeneration is just really good for Shiv. Like, it's one of the best items on him. And if he builds, like, say, Infuser and Spirit Lifesteal, he will have a lot of healing. And any damage he takes, he can just heal, like, you know, 40%. Like, say you did 100 damage to him, he'll heal 40 back by pressing this ability. Well, okay. Just shy of 40 back, because it's obviously 85% of the deferred damage cleared, not 100%, but you get the idea, right? You kind of take damage, you have that little orange bar, and you're able to clear it up almost completely just by pressing this button, which allows you to consistently keep yourself in the fight. And of course, if you buy something like Transcendent Cooldown, the cooldown for this is only 7 seconds. That's not bad at all. Like seriously, you basically take 50... at full rage, which usually in most fights you are going to be at full rage, you're taking 50% of your damage, and you're just able to clear it at the press of a button, which allows Shiv to just keep himself going in the fight, ignoring any abilities or items that he buys for healing purposes. And yeah, as I said, he does really good damage with the dash and its copy that follows, and the knives are just consistently doing damage over time and being annoying, but with the movement slow, and before you know it, you're below 25% and he's killed you with Killing Blow. Like, that's the Shiv way, basically. You dash around, throw some knives at people, any damage you take, you just kind of clear with bloodletting as you so see fit, and once they're low enough, you jump at them, Killing Blow resets, you do the exact same thing to someone else, and you just keep the bowl rolling over and over and over. And of course, as I said, or maybe showed earlier, I'll have to find the clip, Shiv is very mobile. Like, I mean, as bad as I am, I can kind of show it for your viewing pleasure by just using the alt fire down at my feet as I jump up a wall. Now I'm on top of a building, and that's ignoring the fact that anytime I could just dash. And remember, the dash will increase with, say, any distance. Maybe you want a dash that goes 20 miles long and you just get greater expansion and you just fly across the screen. Maybe you want to do that. If you do, I can't shame you for that in any way, shape or form. If you just want to dash halfway across the screen, so be it. But yeah, Shiv gameplay wise is very fun, and I wouldn't say it completely makes up for his lack of almost any lore, but well, I say almost any lore. He does have some stuff, but a lot of it needs further development to really kind of shine. So besides that fact, I'm glad that I wouldn't say his gameplay makes up for that fact, but his gameplay is very fun. you can at times feel like an unkillable monster as Shiv. And the enemies will, that's the thing, he's very hard to kill, very hard to kind of keep an eye on, because obviously he's very good movement, but he just does a lot of damage. Like, he can do nasty amounts of damage just by dashing back and forth through enemies and teams and stuff. Like, Shiv is a scary dude later on. He's in that little special camp of being very hard to kill and does kill people very easily. I like Shiv's gameplay quite a decent bit. I did struggle to really get a hang of it. The kind of managing of the rage meter and when to go in and when not to go in, how bloodletting worked, it kind of does require a little bit of experience in my opinion, because Shiv was always one of those characters, like, just as a point of reference, whenever I play Deadlock, I almost have like every single character selected. I think the only ones I don't have selected are like Viper, because I really can't slide. I really cannot get the hang of the sliding stuff. But for the longest time, Shiv used to be one of them characters I just didn't have selected, because I just didn't get him. I didn't really enjoy playing as him. And I wouldn't say he's like one of my favorites, as I probably made quite clear in the lore segment, but I've warmed up to his gameplay and I enjoy it a little bit. It's not like favorite, it's just kind of, if I get put as Shiv in a game from my, you know, Russian roulette of every single character in the game besides Viper, I'm not going to be like, oh no, I got Shiv, no, I'm going to die. It's not like that time where I got Paige 4 times in a row and I was like, yeah, no, you're getting unselected. I have had enough of playing you. Yeah, Shiv is a fine character. He is kind of just existing for me. I would say, for me personally, he kind of falls into a similar camp as like Calico and McGinnis. These characters that kind of just exist, and they are there. Ironic that 2 out of the 3 characters I just listed are from the Baxter Society. Shout out to Grey Talon for being kind of cool. Kinda. I don't know, I still feel like his gameplay's a bit... Maybe it's just the Baxter Society curse. Maybe every character from the Baxter Society is just doomed to be kind of okay, or kind of whatever. I mean, Grey Talon has a lot of potential, but again... Wait, that's kind of weird. Grey Talon has a lot of potential, like story and character design-wise, and Shiv has a lot of potential story and character design-wise, and Calico has a lot of potential story and design-wise. What is with the Baxter Society? Why are they all potential people? Calico is looking for a new design and more expansion on her lore. Grey Talon is looking for a new design and probably a slightly more fun gameplay in my opinion. And Shiv is looking for more expansion on his lore and maybe a different design. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about next. Shiv's design is... I am kind of 50-50 on it. As I'm sure some of you or most of you know, at one point in time, Deadlock used to be a game called Neon Prime, which was a far more futuristic, cyberpunky-esque game. And as I'll show on screen now, Shiv is ripped out of that game, or what Deadlock used to be, like word for word, bar for bar. Exact same haircut, very similar face, exact same sideburns, same outfit, same trait of holding the jacket over the shoulder, same shotgun arm, like... It is actually 1-to-1 with how he looked in Neon Prime, and I don't know... Well, it's not exactly 1-to-1. If I remember rightly, in the screenshot I'll throw up on screen, his arm was like more futuristic and not, you know, made of wood. I cannot aim down... You know, I'm actually going to swap off Shivs just so I can, like, actually aim down sights and show things, like, just quickly. Like, Shiv is weird because he's been slightly changed to fit more with Deadlock's art style, with his arm being like wooden and him having like his coat. I think it's in the screenshot I'll show. I think the coat is like quite futuristic looking as well, and now it's like a sort of bomber jacket instead. But Shiv is very much a relic of what Neon Prime was, but not at the same time. I feel like they're quite... And the thing is, right, Shiv isn't going to get like a crazy redesign. He's not going to like completely change head to toe. Because the thing is, as I showed with the Lady Geist interaction, she does compliment him on his pompadour, which is probably his most iconic design feature. This big, like, wavy, fluffy quiff that is, by the way, if you don't know what quiff is, that's kind of an English slang for hair. Like, his hair is his most iconic feature. It's big. It's wavy, it's kind of sticking out quite a far bit out of his face, curly at the end. It's his most iconic piece of, like, iconography. And as well as his sideburns are quite the statement. yeah, they're definitely quite the statement. But like, he is actually 1-to-1 almost with what he looked like in Neon Prime, and it intrigues me why they haven't changed him, or if they did change him, how they would. The pompadour must stay, but I'm curious if, say, like, the outfit choice will stay. He has a very kind of Elvis vibe to him. I'm not sure why, and I feel like I need to mention this, and this is going to take a little bit of explaining, but he kind of has like a monkey face. Does anyone understand what I mean by that? Some people kind of have just like a face that looks very ape-like. It's going to be really hard to kind of explain. There's an actor, I do not remember his name actually. I will throw his face up on screen. I've always thought he had a monkey face, if that makes it. It sounds really bad actually, but like some people just have like more hardened ape-like faces, and I feel like Shiv is kind of one of those people. I don't know how to put it. How do I put it? I've seen people besides myself. I'm not Scottish. I've seen people besides myself say that he has like a monkey's face. One of my friends said the exact same thing. Like, they said, why does he look like an ape? And I was like, I'm glad that I'm not the only one seeing this. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. Not at all. He can have that face for all he cares, for all he wants. I've got no problem with it. I'm just saying he kind of looks a bit like an ape facially, and I'm not sure why. I don't know if there'll be pushback to me saying this, or if someone may correct me or further agree with me. I don't know. Please do let me, like, if there's any question I want to pose towards you, I do want to know what you think I mean by monkey face. It's kind of hard to explain. I don't understand it myself, but it just kind of has one of those faces. But besides me getting confused on the monkey face part, his actual design is fine. It's pretty decent. I am very fond of his constant character trait of holding the jacket over his shoulders, and just to show how determined he is in doing that, if you swing on a zip line, he will continue to hold the jacket, not over his shoulders, but he refuses to let go of that jacket, and I think that's a very funny character choice. I like that quite a lot. The wooden arm, as I now know, is a part of the Baxter Society. I presume it's like an initiation ritual, that when you become part of the Baxter Society, you have to have your arm cut off. Because, well, Grey Talon also has a prosthetic arm, and Calico also has a prosthetic arm. Shiv also is part of the Baxter Society, like the other two, and has a prosthetic arm. Though his is interestingly made out of wood, whereas the other two are more metallic. Like, Grey Talon's, obviously due to how unfinished his model is, looks a bit plasticky, but like Calico's is quite clearly metal. So it intrigues me that he is given a wooden arm instead of, say, a metal one like the other two, which I think is a neat way design-wise of showing like that he isn't respected by the Baxter Society in a sense. That's a cool way to kind of show that fact. And he has his knife in his pocket, which is, you know, whatever. It's a big-ass knife, I'll give him that. Don't really know. I kind of wish they kind of showed the criminal background side to him a little bit better, I will admit. He doesn't really look like a criminal, if that makes sense. Like, you don't really get that kind of, oh, I've got a evil, but dark past. I stabbed people in prison or something. Like, I don't really get those vibes from Shiv. He just looks like he's kind of doing a bad Elvis cosplay. But that's me kind of slandering him for no reason. Like, I'd like the jacket thing though. Like, the whole holding the jacket over the shoulder is cool. The wooden arm is quite cool. His hair is certainly a statement. I can't judge him. I'm not going to try and judge him. And I don't know. He just feels kind of there. It's kind of, he's following the same sort of principles as I said, like Calico and McGinnis, where I just feel like they're just there. They exist. They have lore. They have gameplay. And they have a design. As I said, I don't want to dislike anyone in this game. I always want to, you know, put my best foot forward and try to like every character. I think no character in this game is bad. There's just some that kind of lack a little, and I feel like Shiv is lacking. I'm not really sure what. It's just kind of a vibes thing, probably. I don't really vibe with Shiv, I suppose. Like, yeah, I mean, his design is fine. It's relatively iconic, I would argue. Like, the whole jacket. Like, the thing is, he has the iconography of like someone who would be more popular or more iconic, like the big, like the pompadour, the jacket always being over the shoulder, the wooden arm with the kind of funky looking shotgun that I believe has a knife in it. I think a knife actually comes out of the shotgun, like when he dashes, which is, you know, a really cool way to include, like, or explain how he dashes with, or does his, like, knife dash, but I don't know. He just doesn't really click with me like other characters do. I do admit this thing is kind of interesting, whatever this is. It's like a weird amulet of some kind. It glows whenever he enters, like, rage mode, so I presume it's probably got the beast inside of it. Yes, I am going to keep calling it the beast with a very bad Gohan impression. But yeah, I don't know. Shiv is just kind of a... It's a weird video. I just don't really feel any strong opinions for him. I don't dislike him. I don't like him. I just feel very neutral. And that same went for Calico and McGinnis. I like aspects of them. Like, as I said, I like the jacket over the shoulder. I like the wooden arm to kind of show that he's not as respected by the Baxter Society. But besides that, I literally have nothing to say. I'm trying to find things to say and I just can't. So I'm going to end the video because otherwise you'll be having to sit here for another 5 minutes as I kind of trip over myself and try to think, what do I want to say about Shiv? I don't know. You got a white shirt, you got red trousers, you got beige shoes. Sure. I'm running out. I'm running out of things to say. But yeah, please do let me know what you think I mean by the monkey face thing. I really can't remember that actor's name. You would have seen his face on screen by now, but man, he has a monkey face as well. I don't know how to explain it, but please do let me know what you think I mean by that, because I don't really even know what I mean by that. And I'm trying to explain it without just coming off as sounding kind of rude or disrespectful. But yeah, this is the end of the video. I hope you have enjoyed it in some way, shape or form. Like, comment and subscribe if you feel so inclined. And I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, whether that be a good morning, afternoon, evening, etc. And the next episode in this series will be on the definition, as I alluded to earlier, of potential character. That being Sinclair.